Hello, everyone. My name is Robert Wolff. I am the Ecosystem Developer Evangelist at ARM for the infrastructure line of business. And this talk is about putting developers first, and more specifically, putting ARM developers first. But before I dive into this presentation, I do have a couple personal notes I wanted to add in to this talk, especially since it's, I actually hold this talk very, very close and dear. Considering I worked at Lenaro for 4 years before working with ARM, and this is actually kind of new working at ARM. I've been there maybe about 6 months now, but these are pictures of every single Lenaro Connect that I attended. So it's kind of tradition at Lenaro Connect to everyone that attends, after the opening ceremony, everyone kind of gathers and takes this group photo, and from left to right, top to bottom, you can kind of go across from BKK, which is Bangkok 2016. That was my first Lenaro Connect, just out of school, getting ready to hit the industry, all the way down to San Diego 19. And I'm looking across all these pictures and all these faces, and I see my friends, close colleagues, family there, and I just want to express my sincerest gratitude to everyone at Lenaro for hosting this tech event. The first canceled Lenaro Connect really, hit me hard, and I really look forward to seeing everyone. But looking at these pictures makes me feel happy to know that we're at least congregating here online. And if you look really closely, you'll see that I'm in all these photos. So you can find the guy with the hat. That's me in all those photos. Well, that's the personal note. Thank you, everyone. I hope your families and everything are safe during this whole COVID-19 crisis. But I will now dive into the presentation. So thank you, Lenaro. All right, outline today. What am I going to talk about? I'm going to talk about the developer network, so the ARM developer network as a whole. This is kind of to get you all up to speed on some of the jargon I'm going to be using throughout this presentation. People throw around the words like developer network, developer website, developer communities, this kind of stuff, developer ecosystem. I want to kind of get you up to speed on my jargon that I'll be using. So ARM Developer Network, we'll talk a little bit about that. Content and resources. So what's new? Like, what's the purpose of this whole presentation, and why am I here? We're going to dive into a bit of strategy, as in why are we doing this? And that's going to be a fun one. And then talking about developer interactions, and this is kind of something a little different. The approach that we're taking, and what exactly is our content providing to developers in terms of communication bridges. So what are we doing to make sure that developers have the bridges that they need to communicate across the different communities, across different partners and companies? These are the different types of interactions that we're going to be providing through this new developer program that we're going to be talking about. I'm going to give a website preview, because most of what we're going to be doing here today is talking about the new stuff that we're putting on the ARM developer website. So I'm going to give a website preview, and then we're going to talk about what's next. So, after this presentation's over, what can you expect to see coming out of this ARM Developer Network program, website, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So summarizing ARM Developer Network. When I say ARM Developer Network, I mean everything. So ARM Developer Network, and other people are going to have possibly different definitions of this, but for me, ARM Developer Network is everything. From an ARM point of view, we're talking about everything. And I really like to summarize this or categorize this into 5 pillars of community. Looking at this, these are kind of our pools of developers. From left to right, you have ARM lobs. So these are lines of business, the different verticals within ARM. You can look at this as the teams or the groups of people within ARM who are doing technology specific stuff. So these are developers. These are people who are developing things and doing stuff within the different communities. ARM company, so this is ARM as a whole, and again, this is an ARM perspective or ARM point of view, the way I look at it. ARM company as a whole, this takes these different lobs, these different groups within ARM, and then puts them together, unites all these different technologies and efforts, and makes something bigger and better. And so this is kind of putting everything together. These are also developers, and these are people who are doing stuff and sharing and showcasing. Then we go into the partners, right? So ARM partners, this is probably, I've never worked with such a big partner ecosystem. It's amazing. And so, with this comes, of course, their developers and their communities. And so this adds to this pool, adding another strong pillar to this ecosystem and adding to this pool of developers. So working with our partners is just amazing. And then this stretches even further, another layer of abstraction, our partners' partners. So third-party partners. This is the kind of stuff that you just kind of see pop up on the internet and you're just like, wow, that's amazing. Someone built that. Why am I not working with them yet? Oh, they're already working with one of our partners. That's awesome. And so you start to see this kind of synergy across these different pillars. And then, of course, you know, don't want to forget mentioning the greater community. This makes up basically everyone, right? And so you can kind of look at these pillars and say, I'm part of 1, 2, 3, and 4, or, you know, I'm part of all these. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people who are watching this consider themselves developers. And I'm sure you sit in one or more of these pools. Referring to the jargon, the terminology that I'm going to use, ARM Developer Network is everything. ARM Developer website is where we host a lot of our stuff. And then the ARM Developer program is going to sit within the ARM Developer website, allowing kind of us to tap into these developers and allowing the developers to also simultaneously tap into the ARM ecosystem and our various communities, as well as our amazing partner ecosystem. So this program that we're talking about kind of ties it all together and allows these different developer interactions, these communication bridges to just function more efficiently. All right, let's summarize what's going to be new today. So I have to give a shout out. Our ARM content team and technical communications team have just basically pulled off a miracle and pushed out a substantial amount of content. And this is just yesterday, all right? So we've been working on this for several months. And just yesterday, it's live now. You can go to developer.arm.com/solutions/infrastructure, and you are going to find new infrastructure solutions pages, which I'm going to talk more in detail on this in just a bit. I'll even showcase some of them, but we have 33 new solutions pages. We have a brand new ARM ecosystem partners page that will continue to grow. We have a new infrastructure solutions forum category. We have a new Twitter handle. Thank you to the social media teams at ARM. And then with all of this, of course, comes what's next, and I'm going to summarize this more at the end of the slide deck, but we will be pushing out a constant influx of technical content and enablement. We'll be working with our partners, the greater community, of course, ARM internally, and we'll be pushing out all sorts of really cool stuff, onboarding new partners and working on new collaborations. We're not just going to launch all this new stuff and then say, okay, bye. Like, we're launching this new stuff as a foundation to build upon. This is our wireframe, and we are going to be building an amazing castle of ARM technical content for our developers. So this is the first step towards that. All right, content and resources. You got kind of a high look there, a high view of what we're going to be showing you in just a minute. Why are we doing this? What's the strategy behind all of this? So in general, you can say that we're trying to create compelling reasons for developers to embrace ARM as a leading architecture, as the leading architecture. More specifically, focused on infrastructure. We want to create compelling reasons for people or developers to embrace ARM as leading architecture from edge to cloud, and to enable frictionless development and deployment of cloud native applications. To do this, again, I'm going to kind of reiterate or echo the things I've been talking about, but we have to find a way to provide developers with a strong interface and experience when they're consuming and interacting with our content. So to do this, we plan on providing technical guidance and resources for developers of all experience levels. This is working, again, with all those 5 pillars of community that I mentioned earlier to get this content built out and then showcased in a very consumable way through the ARM developer website. We want to unite communities with common goals and incentives. This is huge because the ARM ecosystem is huge, and this ecosystem consists of tons of different communities. And so if we can find ways to unite these communities under common goals, then the stuff that comes out of this becomes much bigger and better. And so this is one of our big goals here. We want to foster community building, of course, community building to then feed into this unity of communities. And one of my favorite ones here is strengthening the relationships between our partners, our developers, the ecosystem as a whole, and ARM. So taking all these pillars, right, and putting a little bridge across all of them so that there's this communication layer there, allowing strong interactions and collaborations for the better of the ARM developer. Last but not least, of course, enabling developers, and this kind of feeds into strengthening the relationships, but we want to enable the developers, ARM developers, to utilize these resources the best as possible, as well as providing these interactive communication layers. Okay, so this is where I get to break down these developer interactions and the way I look at the developer network, and how the developers get to interact in this network. So there's these 4 boxes, right? So the first one is a developer can go experience the developer network or the developer program or the developer website, everything under the umbrella there. And as you're consuming, or as you're visiting this, you can simply just go there and consume stuff. Okay, there's going to be lots of technical content and guides and things that you can explore and utilize. This is just the consuming and contribution aspect. You find maybe some open source project or something fun that you built. Well, consume something, build upon it, contribute it back. There's lots of cool stuff going on around there. That's the consumption. The second one is community to ARM, and I think that this one is very important and might not have existed so predominantly before this new developer program. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to create this bridge for the community of developers to communicate with us. We want to provide a way for developers to voice their needs, voice their ambitions, voice their concerns and feedback around what we're enabling and what needs to be enabled on ARM. And so LF stands for looking for. So looking for enablement and collaboration. And we're trying to provide solid channels for developers to reach ARM and the people at ARM in order to seek out what they need. Third box, ARM to community. Of course, we're going to keep our blogs and our news. And so this is allowing you to stay current on what's going on, what infrastructure activities are going on, focused on here on the infrastructure line of business, what's going on with infrastructure. We'll keep pushing out blogs and news and all this cool stuff that's going on. But to add to this ARM to community box here, we also have a new developer Twitter handle. Now, this developer Twitter handle is very new. You go follow it. I'll share the handle in just a bit, but this is another way for you to stay up to date. And we really hope to start utilizing this Twitter handle more frequently as soon as possible. So it's very new. The last box here is peer-to-peer. So, as mentioned above, new forums, chats, by uniting all of these communities, you'll find that, various partners have IRC channels, Discord servers, Slack channels. There's all sorts of different things going on in the different communities. And we want to make sure that you're aware of which ones are out there and how you can get the best out of these different communities and forums and chats. Not to forget to mention the new ARM Infrastructure Solutions Forum. And so I'm going to again touch on all this when we go through this website preview, but we do have a new Infrastructure Solutions Forum, which we are going to also catalyze to build up a very engaging community there as well, for those of you who are interested in exploring infrastructure solutions. Okay, I think I made it to the website preview. Okay. So website preview, I was going to do a screen share for this, but I decided instead, so that we avoid technical issues, I just kind of put it all into the slide deck. So I hope the animations work and hope everything goes well. Okay, new developer, old developer, someone who's just exploring ARM developer for the first time. You head over to developer.arm.com. Now, I want to show you exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to the new stuff that we've released literally today. These are the infrastructure solutions that I'm talking about. So developer.arm.com, on the top of that page, you'll find our global navigation. Right there, you'll see the solutions tab. So you go over to the solutions tab, you move your mouse down just a little bit, and then there you have infrastructure. So this is where we're talking, this is where the magic is right now. Click infrastructure, and that's going to take you to our new landing page. So this landing page consists of, as I've mentioned across this entire slideshow, the various ways for you to interact with our new developer program. Developer resources, partner ecosystem, blogs and news, and events calendar. Of course, considering today's circumstances, the events calendar only includes today's event because we don't know what's happening, right? But if you did go click on that events calendar today, you would see Bonaro Tech Days right there front and center. Developer resources, again, talking about the bulk of the content. Ecosystem partners is where you can kind of engage both with us and our partners, and also explore, the vastness of our partner ecosystem. Blogs and news is where we push out our blogs and news, without saying. And then on every single one of these new pages, at the very bottom, you're going to find this big dynamic rendering block, which is the community forums. All right, so let's dive into this. First, we're going to click developer resources. We want to go see what's going on here. And if you see at the bottom, I tried to include the URL best as possible of where we're going. So bottom, developer.arm.com/solutions/infrastructure. We want to click developer resources block. You're going to be presented with this. All right. Now, this may not look like a lot. It may look like a lot. But what we're looking at here is just a bunch of categories that basically fulfill a big part of our software ecosystem on ARM. CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment, all the way down to tools and developer platforms. So we're trying to accent basically all different types of foundational use cases through the way of solutions pages. So if you click on one of these things, which I'm going to show you in just a minute, but if you click on one of these boxes, you're going to be presented with a bunch of different solutions pages. Each one of these solutions pages, of course, highlights the various things that you can do within these technologies or these buckets or categories. I want to just show you exactly how many solutions pages you are getting access to today. So we're starting this off with 33 new solutions pages. Now, I also want to point out that this is the beginning, right? So we have high aims for this, and we do plan on pushing out plenty more. We plan on updating. This is a very living program here. So starting with 33 solutions pages, here's a short list of what these 33 are. And this will grow as soon as, I'm hoping, next week. We're literally hitting this ground running. Momentum is there and nonstop. It's going to just keep happening. So here's a list of some of those from Drone.io, GitLab, GitHub, Actions, Rancher, Docker, Akrano, Solid Run Packet. They're all there. Alumni Studio for HPC tools. You're going to find all sorts of very useful content here. All right, let's break down some of these pages to give you an idea of what kind of stuff you're going to find on them. Here, I'm focusing on the Alumni Studio page. So this is under the tools section or bucket. And to keep things, cohesive for developers, we're really trying to focus on this standardized look or a standardized approach for these pages. I'm hoping that, over time, we'll see other, groups within ARM, IoT, automotive, AI, start joining this movement. And you'll start finding solutions pages that tap into this vast knowledge base and then pull what's needed up in order to showcase what's necessary for that technology, if that makes sense. I really hope it did. But basically, we have this knowledge base, all this cool stuff, all these things that are going on, and we have all these different verticals. We want to make sure that we're showcasing the use for the use cases for these specific verticals in a very cohesive and organized way. So here you see at the top, page description. There you're going to find how does this technology relate to ARM, right? I mean, in a very brief outline, how does this technology relate to ARM? How can you kind of use it, right? And then the learn more button, which of course will take you out to learn more about that particular company and how it relates to ARM. Then we have these solution highlights with a featured resource. So we kind of pick several highlights, things that these technologies kind of flourish on or do the best. And we showcase these, and then we provide you more resources there if you want to go explore and or consume some sort of technical documentation. And then at the very bottom, we have resources, and this is kind of an aggregate of stuff, right? And I want to emphasize on one thing I put in parentheses: no hostages. It's something new, but we're really trying to make sure that we're showing you the best content, not just our content. In the world of the internet, there are things out there that exist and that are really good. And so we want to make sure that we're not just holding you hostage here. We want to make sure that we're providing you with the right content, the best content that is there, without reinventing the wheel. I mean, this goes into those 5 pillars of community again, which I always really like to refer to. But there are people out there who are developing amazing things, and it's all on ARM. And we want to make sure that we're showcasing these amazing things. especially relevant things. And so these resources at the bottom are just like the rest of the pages, very living, very dynamic. And so, one day you could visit this and see, 5 links. The next day you could visit it, you can see 10 links. And these links might be keeping you on the ARM developer website, and they might be forwarding you out to some amazing community members' work on GitHub. And so this is something that I really like to emphasize on, because there's just so much cool stuff going on out there that we want to showcase on ARM. Next page here, I'm not going to have those little brackets there anymore, but this is for Travis CI. So you can see the standardization across the pages. Hopefully, as you start to explore these, you'll kind of get this unified feeling where you're not having to kind of relearn where to look for things. This is kind of the approach we're taking here. So you'll see again at the top, the front matter, you have the 3 highlights with the featured buttons, and then resources at the bottom, additional resources to go explore documentation, possibly projects and or technical docs for building things with Travis CI. And last but not least of this particular zoom in on these solutions pages is Packet. Packet featuring works on ARM. So again, this is a great collaboration between Packet and ARM. You have the ability to explore and experience most of what Packet has, plus a little extra on this all-inclusive page. Plus, you'll get to learn a little bit about what they're doing, and possibly even, at the bottom of this page, I didn't include it here, is the forum. So you might even find some Packet forum posts at the bottom there for people who are working on Packet stuff. All right.
Excuse me, Robert. I wanted to give you the 3-minute warning.
Okay, great. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Last but not least, actually, I think this is my last slide here. If we're going to go back, or no, I have just a few more. So we're going to go back to this front page. We're at developer resources. Scroll on over to the the ecosystem partners. Click that. You'll see that we have this, full list of ecosystem partners. You can click on this. This will take you over to our solution pages. It's just another way to close the loop, providing you what you need to know and learn about our partners in a very developer-friendly way. Now, this is last but not least. Of course, at the bottom of every one of these pages, you're going to find a community forums block. This is dynamic, rendered directly from our community website. This will take you over to that particular post. As you can see, people are already posting in our infrastructure solutions section. Thanks, David T, for the question. We answered it, got back to him. If you want to go back up to the higher level of the forums, you can just go click the infrastructure solutions link there. That'll take you to the high level. You can see where all the rest of the questions are. Make an account, log in, and or just explore what's going on there and consume. What's next? Steady flow of new content in the form of technical documentation, regular social media updates, ARM Developer Spotlight. This is working with the ARM Innovator Program. That's a whole other topic. Lots of really cool stuff going around developers to showcase them. Extended community communication channels, expand on the new forum categories and catalyze new forum engagement, developer activation and incentives, events, sponsorships, hackathons, and so much more. If you're interested in knowing about any of these kind of things, I suggest go following my Twitter, the ARM Software Developer Twitter, and reaching out to me at robert.wolff@arm.com. You didn't see it, but I dropped my little pointer. Done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert. But we have a minute or so for some questions. We do have a question from Marcin.
Marcin.
Yep. What about Azure pipelines? It's a very popular CI solution in FOSS projects. Lack of AR64 there blocks several Python packages and other stuff to be built for our architectures.
What was the solution he was talking about? I'm sorry.
Azure pipelines.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So as I mentioned, we do plan on adding in a bunch more stuff. So we haven't really touched on Azure yet in any of our solutions pages, but you can expect, hopefully I would say you can expect us to start doing some stuff there. I do know that on one of our CI/CD pages, I don't know exactly which one right now, but there is a documentation set there that shows you how to build up exactly what you were just talking about. There is some documentation there that we pulled that we thought was very useful for developers. Marcin, if you want to email me or find me on one of our chat channels, I'd be glad to share that with you.